Welcome to the Victory Multisport Podcast. This is Coach Sarge, and I have a very special episode for you today because I'm not with the other owners and coaches. I am with Kate Holley.
Hi.
Hey, Kate. Kate is a Victory athlete, for those of you that know, but also operates Crazy Kate Performance. And we wanted to talk a little bit about your background in that, Kate, and how you started that business.
Yeah. So it is one-on-one coaching, like personal coaching, focusing on strength training, nutrition, and then also being able to make those two things work with whatever type of specifically endurance, but any type of performance goal that you might have, because nutrition and strength are going to be so important at helping achieve those performance-based goals, because we can't really do one without the other. And
right.
So when I started doing triathlon, I realized how important nutrition was. And I've always loved strength training. And so when I started to see the benefit of like all three of them meshing together, I was like, oh, okay, like this is awesome. And it just kind of helped get me to that next level. And so it was like, I want other people to experience that same, like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like, let's do this.
That's great.
So just kind of started doing that. Started helping just like close friends and family, and then just slowly branched out from there.
Yeah, it's awesome. So how many years have you been doing it?
So I've been doing online health and fitness coaching for about 3 years now.
That's great.
Yeah. So started out just kind of doing it part-time when I was still working as an athletic trainer, and then had the opportunity to like go full-time with it, and was like, yep, let's go. So
great.
dove all in.
That's awesome. So we're glad to have you and talk a little bit about that side hustle to the side hustle that you have going on here. So for the listeners, what you're about to hear is a very special episode. Coach Sarge is actually going to step back and allow Kate to interview two of our other Victory athletes. We have Val Porter over here. Hey, Val. And we have Julia
What's
Bird.
up?
Yeah, so we have these two fine female athletes, and Kate has a whole host of questions and discussion for them where they're going to get into women in endurance sports, right? Whether it's marathons or triathlons or other things, and just talk through things that go on, things that happen, things that people are interested in and have questions about. And I think it'll be very informative, and we're so glad to have them here, and so glad to, highlight some of our great female athletes in the podcast today.
So, as Coach Sarge mentioned, I wanted to kind of talk and like pick your guys' brains and just kind of have this conversation about what it is like to be a female in endurance sports, because I do feel like that there are things that we experience, deal with a bit more than our male counterparts. And for me, the first thing that kind of comes to mind is not the obvious, like with hormones and all that fun stuff, which we'll talk about. It's more so from the mom perspective. And Val, I think you're such an awesome person to like bring that perspective to the table, because like when I think of being a female in endurance sports, it's like if you have a family and you have kids, like how do you balance all of these different hats that you have to wear? And I feel like your situation's even more awesome, cool, because your spouse also is an endurance athlete. So I feel like that just added like another level of complex to your life.
Does.
So how do you deal with all of that?
Honestly, Shane and I sometimes joke that we're just ringleaders of a circus together, and we just do our best to manage the chaos, because essentially that's what our life feels like on a never-ending basis. And there's days that it's easier than others. I wouldn't say easy, but there's days that it's easier than others, and we feel like we have found our groove, and it's kind of become I guess you would say, we have like a schedule for our chaos.
You're kind of like on autopilot.
Yes. And then there are other days where it's just like things are exploding left and right in our faces, and we're like, oh, ducking and dodging and diving, Legos and running shoes, and who knows? It's a never-ending game of like dodgeball.
Yeah.
And I will say this before anything else. Being a mom in endurance sports, I think would be impossible without the support of my partner. So, and I'm sure that goes for a lot of dads too, though, because you need a supportive partner in the home who understands what you're trying to do, who understands your drive, who understands your goals, and who supports those. Not someone who's going to make you feel bad about, you've got to go for a long run today. Because I'm not a super fast runner. So when I go do my long run, Shane knows we're expecting at least 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah,
here. And
absolutely.
There's never any like, okay, when are you going to, it's just, you take all the time you need, babe. You take all the time you need. You go do what you got to do. If you need to stop somewhere, it's the support from your partner in this is first and foremost, because none of this, I can't make time for any of this without him and without that, essentially. And secondly, I think one of the other things that a lot of moms deal with is mom guilt.
I was just going to ask, do you ever, because you have 4 kids,
Yeah,
right?
so there's 4 kids under 7, well, 7 and under.
And they're
so.
probably doing like, what, each one of them does like 3 sports feeds.
No,
and
it's
you're
not
like
terrible,
at like 12 different locations.
No, our older 2, Fallon and Benny, they do cross country with school. They do track. Benny plays flag football and basketball. Fallon does dance and acro. So, it gets difficult. It's fun though. And it's fun to watch them find their passions and their joys and things that get them active. And that's, I think anytime that moms experience mom guilt, you need to remember that when kids are watching you live your life and when they're watching you follow your passions and chase your dreams down, I personally believe that creates more of a fire inside of them to know I should be following my passions and I should be following my dreams. And I see it sometimes, especially like in Fallon versus Benny. So they both run cross country, and Benny is more of Shane. He is fast, he is focused, he is energetic and determined, and he wants to get to that finish line as fast as he can. And then there's Fallon, who enjoys running for the social aspect, more so like me. Let's have some fun, let's get out there and dance, let's meet some new friends, let's just enjoy the day. And she just wants to do it to enjoy the atmosphere and to be healthy. So would she enjoy it as much if she doesn't see me enjoying my journey in running the way that I do versus Shane? I don't know. That's a good question for somebody who's.
But I think that's really interesting that you brought up like how like you're out there to have fun. Not that Shane's not out there to have fun,
right?
But
right.
Like you mentioned, he's a little bit faster than you, and so like if Fallon only saw that side.
Would she want
to keep running?
Right.
Yeah. Wow. I never even really thought about that perspective from like the kid's perspective.
Well, and then there's studies that have been done that show that a mother's level of fitness has a very direct correlation on her kids' level of fitness as they grow into adults. Their level of activity, their level of health and wellness. So for any moms who do experience that mom guilt and feel, I feel terrible. And I no, your kids need to see you making time for yourself to do something that benefits you in not just like a physical way, but in a mental way, because running and biking and unfortunately a little bit of swimming now too, it's all things that have become part of like a therapy process to me. Mm-hmm. And I mean, still huge advocate of actual therapy with a therapist too, but there's so many ways. And I believe as you get older, you start to unpack a little bit of this and a little bit of that about your life, and you start to come to terms with who you are and the dreams that you had for your life and how they're changing now. Because after you have kids, if you choose to have kids, life is maybe not what you imagined it was going to be. And maybe the trajectory for it, instead of going here, is going here. And you need to be able to learn to pivot and to accept that, and to accept that maybe it's not the vision that I had, but this vision could be 10 times better. So, I don't know. It's tough. The mom guilt it can be a very real thing, but moms and dads are like captains of ship. I know I've said this before to a million people. I will say it a million more times. You're literally captaining a ship. Think of a pirate ship, because you've got mutiny and you've got chaos and you've got people trying to toss each other overboard. That's essentially having a family and dogs and kids and everything. But as the captain of the ship, mom and dad, you should be the most important thing That should be number one. And a lot of people, I believe, when they have children, they put the kids at the number one spot. And that's, I understand why. The kids take a lot of time, they take a lot of energy, a lot of money, but more so than the kids being okay, you as a parent need to be okay. Because when you're steering that ship, and when that ship's going through rocky waters, and there's who knows what you're running into and you're encountering, if mom and dad aren't okay, that trickles down to everything else. It does. The ship's going this way, it's going that way, because nobody knows what's happening, and you're going to sink it. It's all going to sink. If mom and dad are great, everything else can be built upon that. That needs to be what everything else can look up to and say, man, that's really cool. That's good. This is what we're trying to do. Again, we still got people hopping off the side on the walking the plane. I was going to
say, I love that you use the analogy of a pirate ship, because the visual that I got with your family was like spot on.
That's how a day in our house feels. But I think essentially that's the biggest thing, is that moms and dads tend to put the kids on the forefront, which, again, understand why. Especially as kids get older, and now you're looking at like competitive baseball teams, and maybe travel soccer teams. There's a lot more that Shane and I are going to encounter and experience, and it's hard to manage the time for all of that, but you just have to be very cognizant of everything, very diligent, and very intentional with your time. When we have Sundays and we wake up, Shane gets up early on Sundays still. He could sleep in, which he did. He slept in today till 6 before he went and did a run, because he knew that I was going to come here. And so I'll do this. And then I try to sometimes plan my longer runs, when I know the kids will be napping. So there's a little less guilt also when you are good with your partner about the communication and how you're going to build that into your day, because you're missing a little less time with the kids if you're doing it while they're sleeping. You're missing a little less time with the kids if you're doing it while they're at a birthday party, or, if maybe the kids have practice and I just run a little bit while they're at practice. There's ways to do it and make it possible for your family without feeling like you're losing everything else.
And so you actually bring your kids along with you when you train.
Sometimes, yeah. During marathon training this summer, we have a Wonderfold wagon. And for anyone who doesn't know what a Wonderfold wagon is, they're wonderful. And I'm sure Victory would love if Wonderfold would sponsor us. They are very heavy duty wagons that fold up, can fit in the back of your car, but they have seats, and you can get them with seats in them, panels that lift up so the kids can crawl in and out, tents that go over top.
Holy crap.
Yeah, very.
Do they make those for adults?
I mean, I think they hold like 300 pounds, so we could throw Ben in one.
Okay.
Absolutely,
Okay.
100%. But I would take the kids out when there were days that maybe the gym didn't have kid watch, which is another thing I'm super grateful for. Find a gym that has kid watch. YMCA's, a lot of them do. And take your kids, because it's good interaction for your kids with other children. It's a good opportunity for them to see other adults besides the parents themselves, especially if they're not school age, and get used to having to listen to another adult who's maybe not you, who's maybe not Grammy, who they can learn to take direction from someone. That helps hugely. But there's days when there's not kid watch, and I would need to get a run in. So I would load the kids up in the wagon, and we would go down to a pretty flat trail. And my mentality on that was always, some miles are better than no miles. And if those miles are slower, those miles are slower. It's time on feet. And let's make it fun with the kids. And look, there's birds over here. Oh, this is a pretty flower. Let's find ways to get them involved. So we do try to. Sometimes maybe we don't have a choice to bring them, I should say, along, but we do try to keep them involved in things that we do. And they love it. They love coming to the races and cheering for everybody. They know a lot of the girls, and they get excited when they're like, oh, we're going to see Jules, we're going to see Gab. They love knowing that we're going to do something and the team's going to be there.
So, Jaber, did you ever get to do any training with Val and the kids?
I personally did not.
Oh, okay.
But I would probably have more fun than the kids. So, oh, look, there's a bird. Let's go catch it.
They would. I can 100% see that happening.
Focus on the run.
But no, we just find ways to integrate them into what we're doing, or if we have a track workout, and I know Benny and Fallon love that. So they would, we just try to find ways to do it. And again, when you need to be by yourself. When, okay, well, I have a 40-mile bike. I can't bring the kids for a 40-mile bike. I can't bring the kids for a 4-hour run.
Wagon up to
you could. I don't have one of those. I don't really know how I feel about that. But, we try to pick and choose what we know, also with their attention spans.
True.
You have to be mindful of, what are they going to be actually focused on for doing?
Right. That is true.
But no, Gab, we've done like a 5K with Gab before.
Okay.
So, and sometimes when there's stuff going on at North Park, like if everybody's doing a group run and maybe I don't have a long run, like everybody will be running and me and the kids will just be kind of like run walking. And so we're there with everybody, maybe not doing what everyone else is doing, but we find a way to be a part of it.
So how do you and Shane, since you're both currently training for the same marathon, how do you manage that structure of training with family life?
It's tough because, like I said, so you need a strong support system in a partner. But you also, if you have a partner who is in this and who is training, you need a strong support system of outside people, because there might be times when, like I've gone to a race for a weekend. I come to Maryland or I'll go to wherever. And, he has a long run to do. And his mother, God love her, she is the kindest, sweetest person you ever meet in your life. And none of this is more possible without her. Like when we are in a pinch and we have something crazy going on, I'm so grateful. And we're very lucky to have her because we don't really have any other family who can help. And Gab and Jules, a lot of the girls have also offered many times, like, hey, you need help with the kids? Like, I'll play with them. Jules is like, I don't know what the kids and I'll get
I'm like
into,
a big kid myself.
And I've utilized that. Yeah, like there was a time that I needed to get a long run in, and Shane had crazy stuff going on for the weekend, and Gab was off on a Friday, and I was like, hey, Gab, do you mind if I bring Hallie and George? And they did. They went over to her house and played with Gab. So just having the community. Building a strong team around yourself besides just your support person is also super important, because it's, and the communication between you and your partner of, I can't just pretend like, okay, hey, me and Jules live together, but like, we don't ever talk about our training and we don't talk about who needs to do what. Like, no, Shane and I sit down every week and we're like, hey, what do you have going on this day? Okay, you need to get your long run done. Okay, I'm going to try to schedule my long run that day, and kind of like how you and Ben would try to, do your long bikes together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Similar situation. Or if I know that Jules has a long run, it's just the communication of, okay, how are we going to make this work? How are we going to fit this into the puzzle? And how are we going to, every day? It's a never ending process. And there's times that it doesn't fit. There's times that it doesn't fit and it doesn't work. And I'm just like, okay, well, Shane, just let Sarge know, like, we just didn't have time, and like, you try to make that up another day if you have time another day. And then I think you also have to be very mindful of, okay, well, today was a 3-mile run. I just did a 10-mile run and an 8-mile run. And you know what? I'm tired today. Today, I'm going to bump my rest day to today. Whatever it is, it's just about having the communication and maybe a little bit more flexibility too, because you're probably not going to go green in Training Peaks all the time. Like the first time when that started happening to me, Jules would be like, it's okay. My Training Peaks is a rainbow of colors. She always told me it's okay. You should see mine.
Colors.
She
I
would.
love that.
Yeah.
There's like 5 colors you can have in Training Peaks. And if you do it all in the same week, it looks really nice.
So like having the affirmation from friends, like, it's okay. Prioritize what you need to, like we were training for a marathon. So we knew that the runs were important. And Shane got to a point where he would be like, okay, the swims, I'm not focused on the swims right now. Or the bikes, maybe I'm not worried about the bikes right now. Like, let's just, what do we have to get in? We can't miss our long runs. We don't want to miss our speed work days. How can we make everything else fit? So it's a juggling game. It's a lot of communication.
So will you guys ever train for the same race or train for a race at the same time again?
I mean, I'd love to say no, but I feel like because it's easier if we're going to go to a race, why would we
do
both
it together?
not, if we're able to?
Yeah.
Why would we both not just compete in it together?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's a little less travel time,
True.
And like, with Marine Corps, we try to make that fun and, booked a trip to the zoo while, and make it not just, okay, well, hey, mom and dad are going to a race. Like, how can we integrate this as more fun? The kids did the kids marathon. So how do we make this more fun?
I was just going to ask, like, do you have the kids, like, are the kids going to do, the Iron Kids?
I would imagine. I haven't really brought it up to them. I haven't really shown that to them, but I feel like especially Benny, and probably Hallie, once they see that, they're gonna be like, yeah. Can we do that? Yeah. Can we go? Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sure that you will see them with little Iron Kid shirts. lights on sooner than later.
I love it. And it's like, they're so fun. Like, cause we've been at a couple races and have hung out with them. Like when you were doing Ohio,
Yeah.
like Ben and I got the pleasure to hang out with the family for the day. It was just like, they had the megaphone out, giving high fives. Like, I mean, it was such a cute thing to see. And I found it very, very interesting that like anytime I see you with the kids, like, and even if Shane is there, like they are like part of the family, and it's the Victory family. Like, you know, like Uncle Ben played with the kids most of the day in Ohio, and like Gab at the like, they're just part of the family. And I think that like support system too is probably very helpful for you.
It is. And it's, like I said, it's very cool to see them finding passion in this. When the Buffalo Creek Half Marathon came up, the race director, was organizing the day, and we were setting up the tent, and she came over to the kids and asked if they would like to help hand out medals to the finishers. So that was super cool. Now we didn't get to hand out Jules. They were bummed about that, but they did get to give like Gab her medal and a couple other people that we knew. So they really enjoy integrating into this, and everybody makes them feel so welcomed and so loved. So yeah, it's like they have this huge community of extra aunts and uncles, but especially Uncle Ben, because he gives everybody all the cheese balls, all the snacks on snacks.
Yeah, he'll be the first to give you all the snacks you want, kid.
Yeah.
But I think that just brings, like, you brought up so many like awesome points to just being a mom and dealing with like family and all of, like I said, all of the different hats that you have to wear. But like, I didn't even like think about, like, from the kids' perspective of like, oh, I'm seeing my parents like chase these dreams. Like, wow, like, okay, like what dreams do I have that I want to chase? And like just setting that super positive example. And so it kind of like you have 2 daughters. So like, do you ever feel as an athlete, and like Jules, you too, like, do you guys ever feel like you have to like look a certain way to be considered an athlete because you're a female?
I mean, you were a swimmer, Jules, so I feel like that's especially a great question for you.
Yeah. So I grew up playing all the sports, and I grew up watching my parents super active, working out in some type of way every day. So I love that you said that, because that's just like, it was the normal in our household.
So that did have an influence on you.
Absolutely.
Being active.
I think I don't know how my life would look had I not had the parents I had.
Okay.
And like, people are like, going to work and they're like, I haven't worked out in months. And I'm just like, I haven't
worked out in 24 hours.
I've never, yeah, right. I'm like getting hives. But no, I don't know where my life would be had I not seen that growing up. So I love that you said that. But looking a certain way, oh my gosh. Like I wrote a paper in, I think it was college, about how women are perceived through social media. And it was in like magazines, because this was 10 years ago now, but of like how women perceive themselves through what they see. And I think we're becoming a lot more body positive now, but like, I mean, I would think like, oh, I'm not meant to be a swimmer because I don't have the broad shoulders and the triangle, like the flip triangle body, like, and then I would be in track and I'm like, well, I don't have strong looking legs. And it's like, the way you look is how you perceive like how you should perform. Mm-hmm. And that, I mean, totally thought, well, I can't be a basketball player because I don't have jacked arms. Or like every single sport, I could pick out something I didn't have and said, well, I'm not that because I don't look this way.
Yeah, because I don't look like that athlete.
And I was told a lot in high school, oh, you're a ballerina because you have really skinny legs. All through high school. Okay. Oh, you must be a ballerina. I'm like, first of all, I can't dance. Second of all, I have no balance. But thanks. Like, I'll take it, I guess. Yeah. Like, I can't, like, that was just like solidifying for me that not only I think this way, but everybody else does too, especially females. So, yes.
So, do you feel now that you are an endurance athlete, you do, You do a little bit of it all. Like you do the running, you do the triathlon. So do you ever feel that pressure that you have to look a certain way now in order to be like to consider yourself an endurance athlete?
I don't feel pressure now, but I still have those thoughts that I work through in therapy because like I agree. I think physical movement is good therapy, but I also agree that you have to get your mental right.
Yeah.
Therapy for the win.
Yes, therapy. Anyway, but I definitely I was running yesterday in this race, and somebody passed me, and they had a triathlon, USA triathlon, like running like kind of belt or like a pack on, and they passed me, and I thought, oh, they have really nice calves. That's why they're faster than me. And like, I'm very like, I like have music playing, but I'm very like cognizant of like my thoughts. And I'm like, okay, don't think that, like, just keep moving your legs. Turnover is important.
Yeah.
And like, I was able to redirect it, but like, it still impacts me when I see like people that are better, like Lucy Charles Barkley. She has big shoulders. That's why she's a great swimmer. Like these thoughts still happen.
Yeah.
Because that's just how I grew up, like looking at other athletes and the people that are at the top and the people that inspire you. But no, I don't feel pressure now to try to change my body.
Do you just find yourself redirecting those thoughts more often than not when they do pop into your head?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's like what I've been working on is like, okay, you had the thought. I'm a human. They're going to pop up. It's going to happen. And women that say that they don't compare themselves are lying.
Yeah.
Point blank. But like, okay, she has nice calves. Okay. But like I have heart that like I will literally die on a trail covered in leaves or lose my shoes before I stop running. Like I can turn it to a positive.
I was just going to ask. So like when you have those negative, like that negative thought that pops into your head, like, oh, they have nice calves. That's why they're faster than me. Do you then like switch and be like, yeah, you know what? But like my legs are just as strong. Like I can go just as fast. Like switching it to a positive where you pick something positive about yourself.
Or do you just focus on something different completely?
Yeah.
I think it just depends in the moment. Like I've done both before.
Yeah.
Like yesterday I was like, oh, well, I got heart. So if you don't have more heart than me, then we're done.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like I kind of make it competitive, but it's something positive.
Right. Well, that's good. That's
Absolutely.
good. So growing up, picking out those things when you played each sport, like, oh, I don't have this because of that. Like, did it ever impact like how you viewed food? Because I feel like a lot of times as females, because we have that pressure to maybe look a specific way, to feel like we have to look this way to be considered an athlete. And so now it's like, oh, I have to make myself fit this mold. And a lot of times food is
the relationship
that gets correlated to that. And so we don't have the best relationship with food, or we just don't understand that food is fuel and that we actually need food. So like more food than what we typically think of. So like for either of you, like did you ever see that type of like, I guess relationship manifest with your relationship with food?
Do you want to go first?
I mean, personally myself, I have not. I'm very fortunate. I've for most of my life had a pretty good metabolism and been fairly active, that I didn't usually have to worry about what I was putting in my body. I was okay. As I got over 30 and, then you have 4 kids in 5 years, it changes your body and your hormones a lot. So, I had to be a little bit more mindful at times about what I was putting in my body. Because I was breastfeeding. So that the nutrients that you're taking in are literally sustaining another human being still. Right. But I have always had a pretty healthy relationship with food. If I want to have a cookie, I'm going to have a cookie. If I want to have a piece of cake, I'm going to have a piece of cake. I've gotten better because I think I used to use food more of like an emotional crutch when there were times that I was not in therapy. I would eat my feelings, if anything, which is still not a healthy relationship. And through working out and just, what goes in your body is the fuel for what's coming out, the energy that's coming out. So I've been more mindful in the last few years of just, okay, well, if I'm going to have a cupcake, that's cool, but I don't need like 3 cupcakes, maybe just 1 or maybe half, that's
and
a
then
good
have
thing.
like good nutrient dense food.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Balance.
Just trying to find a better balance as I get older and my hormones and my metabolism are unfortunately changing. That's not very fun. I definitely see how that's playing out in my body and how my body needs fuel differently. But I've been very fortunate to not have like a super unhealthy relationship with how I looked at food growing up, especially.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because I was so active. I just never, and I've always been a really muscular build too. I did a lot of biking and rollerblading as a kid. So I had like thick thighs save lives. And I just have always thought that in my life, like thick thighs save lives. Even at 15, I was like, okay, well, all my friends are more petite, but thick thighs save lives. So that's kind of always been my go-to with that. And I've been very lucky to, have had partners during my life who were accepting of my more muscular build and my thought process that, strong, not skinny for me.
Yeah.
Because it's different for everybody. Like some people want to look petite and that's great. Look petite. Some people want to look jacked. That's great. Look jacked. I just want to feel strong. So I don't care how it looks to the outside to everybody. I know, especially like from the mom aspect, a lot of moms worry, okay, well, now you've got like maybe a little bit of like a little spare tire here going, or you've got extra cellulite and you've got stretch marks. No, man, that's like warrior wounds. Those are like battle scars that I will proudly display every day. And anybody who has grown and created human life inside their body or raises human life, it's be proud of that. Like it's not going to look the same on everybody, and who cares? Because even pre-kids, like I didn't look the same as you and I didn't look the same as you, and that's okay. Like everybody should just understand that you don't have to look like anybody you're not. Just look like you.
Just look like you.
Just look like you, That's me though.
I love that.
Just be you.
Oh, my turn.
Yeah.
Okay. So with food, I never really, like growing up, we didn't have like any issue. I didn't know that was a thing that people dealt with until high school. I played 3 sports a year kind of thing. I got hurt. I was off 1 season and I was like, oh my gosh, I can eat whatever I want. In the sense of I had always like just ate the meals that were provided, but then I'm thinking, well, I'm not working out at all and then still eating the way
that you were.
What I was eating plus more of like ice cream. And because when you're not working out and you're eating like that, you feel at first super energized because you're not having to burn the food being fuel towards a workout is like being utilized. But when you're just eating that much of like the nutrients and the protein and the carbs, you at first feel really good. And then over time, your body metabolizes slower because you're not moving around, all that stuff. So I gained a bunch of weight in this 1 semester. And someone very close to me was like, I've noticed you gained a lot of weight. So that was my
Was this in college?
It was the end of high school.
End of high school. Okay.
It was the first negative comment of like that you're not, like I've always been told like you're too skinny or like the legs thing, and it never really impacted the way I viewed anything with food. But that's when I was like, oh, well, the only thing I didn't do was work out. So I flipped the way I was like living and like completely cut out all the bad foods, like started walking twice a day.
Including the candy?
Everything
The
bad.
Mike and Ike's and everything.
Everything. And I lost like an abnormal amount of weight in a very short time. And then I was praised for it. So that's where I learned that if you diet and then you work out too much, my body also learned how to run on nothing. Like I could eat a salad and run 3 miles, walk 2 other miles, work all day, or like go to class all day. And like my body adjusted, which is a problem now because I learned how to operate on nothing.
Well,
Like,
it's a
no
problem, but I
fuel.
mean, it also helps you.
It helps me
unfortunately,
now
because you're
little-
a nurse working like
Yeah.
Right.
God knows insane hours.
And I think that's why nursing wasn't hard to like adapt to, because I'm already used to running on nothing for 5 years before I even got into
So
the actual field.
you fuel better now for your runs and your training sessions, right?
Oh my gosh. I mean, in college, I would do 8 to 10 mile runs with no water, no fuel. I wouldn't eat after because I wouldn't be that hungry. Yeah, I would do nothing. And that wasn't a choice of I want to be skinny per
It was
se.
just-
It was I'm used to that, and I didn't know that like
Your
people
body felt
actually
okay.
are supposed to fuel.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea until I started with Victory that you're supposed to drink water on a like half marathon.
I still remember you coming off the bike in Muncie and you were like, I drank my whole water bottle. We're like,
Yeah.
just one?
That was like the PR of like the century for me.
That's a big deal.
It is.
Yeah.
But so now when you go for an 8-mile run, you fuel.
Yeah,
right?
every 30 minutes. Like what I did when I started with Victory was really start to research like how do people have success? Because you would talk about food all the time of like, this is what I'm taking on my bike. And I'm like, what are those? Like, I was like, what's a gel? Like on the half marathons I've run before Victory, I would just take the food of like
What they
gummy
had on
worms,
course.
orange slices. Cause I was like, oh, free food. Like not because like, oh, I need fuel to like continue to run. But like, I wish there was just, I mean, I think we're getting better on social media about educating of this is how much you should have
Yeah.
like every 30 minutes or every 3
So
miles.
do you feel a difference now?
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
with your 8-mile runs when you fuel?
Yes. And sometimes I'm like, you know, in between shifts and stuff, and I'm like, screw it. I'm not taking anything with me. I don't feel like it. And I suffer and like I notice it. But I mean, I will now feel when I need a gel,
Yeah.
which is so different than how, I mean, I just always felt like crap when I would work out before for
And you
like
thought it
10
was
years.
normal.
And I thought that was normal.
And now you know, oh, that is
Like
not
you can feel
normal.
good during your run. I had no idea.
It doesn't have to be
Lo and
miserable.
behold,
Right, right. It's crazy though,
Awesome.
because that's what society teaches women of like, oh, if you look a certain way, you're going to get praise. So just put yourself through this.
Yeah.
If you like beauty is pain, it's really not.
It
That's
doesn't have
bull.
to be.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. Not at all. So, obviously, like, I feel like now, like, the elephant in the room, like, so the big difference that females have that we deal with that the men don't is our hormones. So, like, do you guys ever notice a difference like through your cycle? Like you'll have different times of the month where like maybe you feel like your energy is a lot higher. You feel like you're superwoman.
or
and
like
then
you're melting under the table.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like how do you deal with those like, you know, the roller coaster ride of just the hormonal fluctuations throughout the month?
Besides just like curling up in a ball and crying.
just
'Cause
rolling with it.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah. Or like Shane will be like, what's wrong with you? Is it okay? Okay. Like he knows. Cause
Yeah.
I feel more, I'm just more cranky. I'm more on edge. I'm just more irritable. I don't want talked to. I don't want looked at. I don't want touched. I just want left alone.
Does it ever impact your training?
There are times that I can tell that, and it's funny because sometimes I don't even know. Like I know that it's coming, but I'll just go to do a regular, 3-4 mile run that should be an easy run that should feel fine. I've done these a million times, and I get on the treadmill or I get to the trail, and I'm just like, again. Like it just feels like it's so much effort to lift one foot after the next, and then like. The next day I wake up and I'm like, oh yeah, my period's coming at the end of this week. That's why. So I always, during that week when I know my cycle's about to start, I try to think like it's more for me at that point about perceived effort, hydrating well, trying to sleep a little bit better because I get hotter during that time period. So I sleep way worse, which I already don't sleep well to begin with. So it's just kind of a balance of trying to make sure, okay, well, I know I'm going to be more tired. I know I'm going to have way less energy. I try to eat a little bit better. I also try to give myself a little bit of grace because sometimes I want more junk during that time period too. So as much as I'm upping a little bit of junk, I try to up a little bit of like proteins and maybe like good carbs, healthy fats. I try, and I try to really up the fluids. And I notice that usually helps maybe a smidge, not a ton, but you know, I'll take a smidge over nothing.
Absolutely. I know for me, like there will be times where like I feel like I always notice it more for the pools, like for my swims than I do like runs or bikes. Sometimes I do on the bike too, where it's like, okay, like why does, like you just said, like why does this one feel so much harder? And it's like, even for me, like more mentally, like it is a battle to just get through each set. Like, okay, like just got to check them off as I go. Like, okay, like I'm not going to be able to go as fast as I would like on these sets. So you know what? We're just going to shift gears and we're going to adjust. We're not quitting. Like we're just going to adjust what the goal is for this workout. And now we're just going to finish each set regardless of what the time is. Like we're just going to get through it. And so I think like being able to recognize like, you know, as much as we like to think that like, oh, it doesn't affect us, like it can, but we don't have to let it like completely ruin our day.
Right.
And just being like giving yourself that grace to just pivot a little bit and just roll with the punches. Like, do you ever experience anything like that? Or
So I'm on a birth control. That's the shot
Gotcha.
It's like every 3 months.
so you just get to feel normal all the time?
I don't get like the monthly period per
The
se.
symptoms, you don't get any like
Nothing.
symptoms
You don't
with
get
it?
symptoms either?
Nothing. And a lot of people who have tried this shot do not like it. They said they gain weight, they eat a lot more, and it's just like it doesn't work for them. But for me, I couldn't do the daily pill, and it didn't work anyway.
Gotcha.
But for anybody out there that's like, you know, they're not finding like any sort of birth control that works for them, the shot is really nice because I don't get any symptoms.
Anything.
But when all of my friends are synced up, because you cannot not hear about somebody else's period. if
Yeah,
you're
me and Gab are
female
always like,
and you-
oh man.
yeah. And I'm like, okay, so like I'll eat like extra chocolate today to like, so maybe if
make you
I
feel
feel bad, quote unquote, and then I eat something like yummy, then they'll feel better through like
Like sympathy
Osmosis.
chocolate?
yes, like pity chocolate.
No, sympathy.
Sympathy, yes.
Sympathy chocolate.
Thank you
Well,
for
it's-
eating sympathy chocolate for
Yeah,
us.
yeah. I'm like, well, maybe they'll feel better if like I feel better and we're all texting and it's like through the
I'm gonna
wavelengths of
they're
the
gonna-
universe.
I'll send out my positive energy. to
Yeah,
'em.
yeah. And then I wake up and I'm like, "How we feeling, guys?" And they're like, "A little better." And I'm like, "See,
better.
it worked.
The
I should do
chocolate
this every day."
So like you don't like the mood swings. There's nothing that you feel.
I
pretty
don't,
just
not
steady?
related to anything cycle wise,
Yeah.
but I can relate to the swimming because I didn't start this shot until a couple years ago, and I grew up swimming my whole life, and oh my gosh. I don't know what it was, but trying to swim while you're on your cycle, like that takes an enormous amount of discipline.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think any woman working out on their cycle, especially the first couple days, is, I mean, it's probably the equivalent of like going to jail for a night. Like that's like emotionally, you know?
Yeah.
Like you just feel like you're just like, ugh. You know? But swimming is, you just feel like a blob.
Yes.
And you're
You feel like a blob.
yeah, and then it's like you just feel like bloated, and then you're just like, I don't want to wear a swimsuit, and now I have to like actually swim, and I want to float in the ocean on
wanna
a
be a
raft with a
blob.
margarita. Like I don't want to swim right now in this pool, and it's usually gray outside because that's what happens on your period, you know. It's like, I mean, I can paint the picture because I did it so much. Like,
Right.
yeah.
But what do you do in those moments? Like when you're feeling like that and you know that you have to get like a 3,000 yard swim in, because I'm not
You
there
cry
yet.
on the way.
Oh, okay.
Again, you just I just take it one set at a time, like slowly checking it off, knowing and accepting that is probably going to take me a little bit longer than I ideally would like it to be, but you know what? That's what we're going with today. And it's no different than like on runs, which I'm sure you can probably relate to.
Ugh.
Like you go out and you're like, okay, like this is not how I wanted this run to go, but okay, we're just going to go a little, like we're going to do it. We're going to stay in it. We're going to do it and we're going to get through it.
I'm a big do what you can in those moments
Yeah.
kind of person though too, because like I said, about giving yourself grace. I think that sometimes the perceived effort is more important than the actual effort being done in the big picture. And so for myself in those moments, I just think like, okay, not like what do you feel like you did, like what do you actually feel like, because you know your brain can tell you two different things, like, oh man, I feel like this run took 5 miles. Okay, but what did your brain actually it felt like 3 miles. Okay, so can we squeak another 2 and maybe that's still a mile less than what I needed to do, but it still took a lot of effort to do. Okay, then we're gonna say tomorrow we better, or maybe tomorrow I'll tack on like an extra half a mile, or you know, like I'll try to make that up somewhere, is what I've had experience with at least.
So do you, Val, for you, for races, like do you ever like kind of like look at when a race is?
Oh,
and you're like, ooh, how am I going to navigate through this and still, because if we know we feel like crap and we're like, oh gosh, like I'm going to, like there's a race right when that's like right when I'm supposed to start. How am I going to, like, what is it like mentally going into that, kind of expecting that, knowing that might happen?
I think it's just about controlling what you can in those circumstances, because I have always had a cycle that's kind of just like, she does whatever she wants and she comes and goes when she pleases. Like there's sometimes when she's, 27 days, sometimes she's 35, sometimes she's 48. Like she just kind of does what she wants, and pops up and says, hey, at the most inopportune times. So I mean, I can usually feel when it's coming, but I control what I can. Like I said, I try to control my sleep circumstances. I know I'm going to run hot. I make sure that the fan next to my side of the bed is going to be on, just because I know that's going to be coming. I try to hydrate a little bit better. I try to make sure that on those days I'm trying to push at least a gallon of water a day, because I know I'm going to be feeling worse. So the things that I can control. And I wear dark underwear and dark shorts because, when she does pop up and I wasn't expecting it, I don't have these really cute little like light pink shorts on in the gym and I'm doing deadlifts. And I'm like, oh yeah, we gotta go. We gotta go home. So
speaking of clothes, like, do you have like specific clothes? And this is just not just during that time, but just in general, like, do you find yourself wanting to wear specific clothes to train in because it's what you feel the most comfortable in? Or do you find that you are wearing clothes that like you're wearing them because this is like, again, what I think I should be wearing?
Yeah. I mean, Jules is forever running in Crocs, so I love that. Like I as much as I love her, I don't think I can ever run in Crocs. I don't know.
Just the thought of that makes my feet hurt.
It works for you.
It's like little clouds. I really can't support Crocs enough. Crocs.
You wear them at work though, so
yes.
Have you ever gone out after work and just been like, okay, I need to get a run in, and I forgot my stuff and run in like scrubs?
No.
And
especially after COVID, no.
Okay. No, I do what's comfortable for myself. Yeah. And I know that different things work for everybody. And for a long time, I was very anti shorts. Like I would not run in shorts.
Really?
Because I was like, oh, get like thick thighs, safe lives. And like, I was like, there's too much like rubbing and chafing. And then I've just found shorts that work for me and a little bit of body glide. And, so now I'm just all about comfort. Like I don't care. There's times I'm out, and especially when I was training for a marathon in the summer, it was so hot. And I'd be like, I don't care. I don't care who's looking. I'm running in a sports bra right now. If you don't like it and you don't like my stretch marks and maybe then look away. Yeah. Because I am comfortable and I'm going to train in what's comfortable, and maybe that's see-through or maybe that's cropped or maybe it's whatever it is. I don't care. If
might not want to do see-through, but
like tank tops that are see-through.
I was like, dang,
no, not like that.
Going for it.
No, not like that. But I'm just about what's comfortable, and it's crazy because what's comfortable for you and what's comfortable for you is not necessarily what's going to be comfortable for everybody else. And there's so many options.
That too. And I will say that as I've kind of we'll say matured into an endurance athlete. What I used to wear when I trained is now it's different than what I train in now. Like I've always been a fan of shorts just because they're comfortable, but it was always finding the right shorts to wear that was a challenge. I would never run in just a sports bra. Like I don't know why. I was just like, oh, I'm not comfortable in that.
There was like a stigma, I think. Like you felt like you weren't you weren't
I
fully
immediately
dressed.
thought of when you were asking Val that question of the girls wearing the Gymshark outfits of like the bra and the leggings at the gym who
With
are
the
just
scrunch
jacked.
butt.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I can't wear that. I don't look like that.
I don't look like that.
I totally understand you.
But like,
saying that.
it was weird, like going for a run, just wearing a sports bra. I'm like, how do other girls do this? Like, I can't do that. And then one day I was like, you know what? Like, it is hot. I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and I'm just going to wear a crop top. We're going to start off slow. We're going to start off easy. And then it was, okay, well, this wasn't so bad. Like, people weren't staring at me as I was running by.
And you know what? If they are,
like, okay.
good luck. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
High five.
Exactly. And so then it was like, okay, well, now I'm comfortable wearing just the crop top. Okay. Like, then it was the next super hot day. And I'm like, you know what? Like, we're going to run in just a sports bra. Granted, I run with a hydration vest on. So it's not like I'm just out there in my sports bra. But even like in my mind, I am like, I know it. And it was just like stepping out of that comfort zone. And I realized like, wow, I feel so much more comfortable right now that I'm not even thinking about like, oh, my tank top is like, I'm not thinking about what I'm wearing. I'm thinking about my run, like my pace, like, okay, like I need to hydrate. I need to fuel. Like it was a very freeing moment and like realization that like, just wear what you feel comfortable in that allows you to focus on what you're doing and why you're doing it. And ever since then, it's like, okay, like I've never looked back. Like I live in my crop tops now. And even at the gym, like I was one of those, like, I can't wear just a sports bra at the gym because most of the gyms that I work out in, they want you to wear a shirt that covers your midriff. So, which I respect.
Right.
But I can wear my crop tops at the gym. And I'm like, again, not thinking about, oh my gosh, is this person looking at me? Is that person judging me? Like, no, like I'm just here to do my lift. Like, I'm just here to try and get jacked and strong. Like, you can judge me, whatever, but like, this is what I'm focusing on. And again, it was just like a very freeing moment where you were just like, you're able to just focus on you and becoming the athlete that you are, regardless of whether or not you think you are. And everything else just kind of falls into place. And it's like, okay, like now I can just be.
Well, I think the other important thing to remember about going to the gym is so many people in the gym are thinking the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, you know, like there's maybe a guy over there who's, you know, maybe he's 400 pounds and this is like his first couple days in the gym and he's joining the gym because he just wants to, and he's thinking the same thing. I have to wear like sweatpants and sweatshirts. Nobody wants to see me in here in a t-shirt and shorts. Buddy, probably nobody cares and nobody's looking. You know, same thing. A mom just had a baby and like maybe she feels like she still looks pregnant because it takes some time, you know, sometimes for that belly. Nobody's looking. Nobody cares. People are at the gym to do their own thing and to focus on themselves. And anybody who's not can come see me after and we'll have a little conversation about how,
take care of that.
It's, you know, it's, we're all there. Most people are at the gym to have a common goal and that common goal is bettering themselves. So we just have to remember they're not there to look at you and look at you and to see, oh man, she has a sports bra on. Like she shouldn't have that sports bra on. Like, no, that's
the best advice I ever got about the gym. Cause I was super, you know, self-conscious and I can't lift because I don't know what to do. And I actually taught myself how to do each like machine by running and watching the people because it was below how to do that. But like, I literally wouldn't go attempt and like look at the pictures because I'm like, I don't want to be embarrassed. People are going to see me. The best advice I got was go ahead, look at everybody else. Not one, maybe one person's also looking up and they catch your glance, but nobody's watching you.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Like at all. Someone might notice, oh, she has a pink shirt on. And like when I'm running, people watching, like I'm specifically looking at people. Not one person's watching another person unless they're looking at how to do a machine.
right.
or they're asking them something. Nobody I've seen, and I have people watched on the treadmill multiple times now.
Sometimes that's the best thing.
It is so fun. I make up stories about people's lives and how many kids they have and if they're divorced. It's like a whole thing. But anyway, I'm nuts. I've never seen someone look up and judge someone on an outfit. I've not seen that in the gym because everybody's there for the same purpose, and it's to get better individually. Or someone's with, their family or friends or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's why I love that you said just be comfortable, because then you can actually focus on what you were there to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know, like, for me, if you dress good, like you feel good, you do good, all that fun stuff. So like I wear what I'm comfortable in, but I also like to have fun with what I wear. Like the bright colors. I love the bright colors. It makes me feel good.
Bright colors are how you know that I'm not feeling it that day, because I'm trying to mentally talk myself into being in the workout.
It's funny that you say that, because like, again, if you know, like, okay, like this is going to be the week before my cycle starts, like I'm not going to be feeling that great. Like I will pick out my bright clothes. I'm a huge sock person. Like I love to have fun with my socks. So like I pick out crazy socks. Like I'm going to pick out my superhero socks. Like they're just going to give me those extra powers, And so it's like, that is how I like hype myself up.
Yeah.
To be able to go out there and maybe do something that you're not really looking forward to doing. Like, oh, I have like, okay.
It's like that extra nudge.
Yeah. Like, okay. Like I really don't want to go run these 10 miles, but you know what? I'm going to put on my flash socks and my cool tie-dye headband, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to have fun with these 10 miles. Like, all right, let's go.
Do you do any of that? Like when you're coming off of like a night turn and you know that you have some miles that you need to run and you're like, I don't want to run. Like,
ooh, I just grab.
She just grabs her Crocs and goes.
Whatever. Like, I don't match. Like, if you see me running around my hometown.
She's like a hot mess. Like, oh, Jaybird.
It's just like when people describe themselves going to Walmart. That's me on a run.
Okay.
I don't brush my hair. We're lucky if we're matching. Like, that's a good day. I'm like, oh, man. All right.
And so, but in that situation, you're wearing that because it's like, okay, like I know that this is comfortable for me to run in.
Exactly.
I need to get these miles in, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to like be something for anybody else. This
be
is
matchy.
Oh, yeah. I like to, I think I appreciate the days that I have time to pick out stuff to wear and like go to the gym, and like I feel so much better. But when I'm just like in between shifts and stuff, and you're just definitely
like, I just got to get this done.
Yeah, I throw on whatever that's comfortable. Yeah, I can't be uncomfortable when I'm tired. Like I'm a big sensory person, and if it's like not vibing, like I can't.
Well, I can't imagine how difficult that is for you too, because you're constantly juggling this overnight, because you do a couple nights in a row of nursing. So, you're getting off at like 7, 8 in the morning, depending on what time you get out of there. And then you might have a swim, you might have a run. And I know that you
go right into your training post work.
Before COVID, I would go to CrossFit right after work and then go home and sleep how many ever hours I can. But after COVID, I always showered when I was done with work, but now when I don't know what it was, but I'm so tired that I go home, shower, go right to bed.
But that's your routine now. You've built that routine.
Yes.
And so you sleep for however many hours you can.
Yeah. And I say that because sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 6, but when I'm up, I'm up.
Have you ever tried to do your training sessions where you are coming off of that night shift where you don't have a lot of sleep? And like, do you notice a difference between the quality of your workouts when you do get a decent amount of sleep versus when you don't have sleep?
I don't recover at all. So like I'll work, go home, sleep 3-4 hours. It's typically that amount of time. And then I wake up, do my run or whatever bike, and then I go to work. So there's no recovery. And then the next night, if it's the same amount of sleep, I feel like I haven't slept. Like physical wise, but my mind is okay. So I'm like, all right, let's do it again. And I've fallen into the routine of it. Mm-hmm. So now it doesn't bother me. I think at first it would.
Gotcha. And your Garmin just says, what are you doing?
Oh, my Garmin tells me to rest all the time. And I'm like, that's fun.
You're like,
Who needs a Garmin anyway?
Right. I think they're always wrong anyway. But so when I sleep, though, I slept the whole week before my 70.3. And I was doing my 10-10-10 with Annie. And my Garmin says, like, I thought the productive status was always baseline or negative. But it said like plus 11. And I was like, what does this mean? It goes in the green.
It goes in
so
the
like,
purple.
I think that,
Yeah, it's like plus 14 or 15.
yeah, that's
You can
not going to
unlock
happen.
a new level.
So, but that was like the fact that it was in the green. I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe that gave me so much confidence of like, I'm ready for this race.
Well, and did it help you see like, wow, this is what happens when I get sleep?
Yeah, I slept like 4 or 5 nights in a row.
Yeah.
And I hadn't done that in I don't know how long. So
Do you try to build your schedule when you know you have a race coming up like that and you know that you're going to have a certain shift? Like, do you try to build that so that you're going to have a couple good nights of sleep going into this?
if it's a longer race, yes, I will take that week for a vacation. But we get 2 weeks a year. So
You have to.
I mean,
big
like
randomly.
a half marathon, I'll run on 24-hour turnarounds because that's shorter. But the longer ones, yes, I would try to prioritize sleep for sure.
Nice.
You're
Yes.
like a superhero because I mean,
I don't.
But that's
think
how I
could
view moms
do that
because I can't.
We're all a
I-
bunch of
I
superheroes
just,
I
here,
know,
guys.
right? We're just
Yeah.
we're Wonder Woman.
Yeah. The amount of discipline it takes for women to be in this, I just am like,
Well, I
go us.
just it seemed like it, and again, like not that we're saying the guys don't deal with like any
Right.
of this stuff at all, but it's like there's so many hats and things that moms, wives juggle with it while trying to pursue these amazing goals.
or even like dating, like trying
Yeah.
to date while you're working night turn and then you train for all of these races. Like, I don't know how
Do you just have training dates or like, hey, you want to come spend time with me? I have a 10-mile run. You want to join me?
So I'm like really competitive. So don't run with me because if
Don't
you're
run
not,
with me.
it's just like, let's just like get coffee because I'm tired. But yeah, dating's hard, I think.
Oh, I bet.
Well, the pool of dating now, it's not
we have
good.
like our own dating show? Maybe.
Oh my gosh. Triathletes trying to date too. I think anybody in endurance sports, it's really hard because
Like I said, you'd have to do training dates.
people want it, like, if it goes well, they're like, I want to see you again. And I'm like, but I have like this 50-mile bike tomorrow. So we're going to have to
you can come
postpone.
join me. Like,
You can come park at the car and you can maybe
And
give
I'll
me
see
some
you every
snacks.
5 miles.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's not a bad idea. And I think that would be a good way to kind of introduce them to, hey, this is my life.
Yeah.
and
Like,
I
are
need
you going to be able to
Exactly.
handle this?
Yeah, I need you to be supportive of what I do. And I think that's how sometimes some of these people, Ben, we can talk. They kind of get roped into it because at first
They
they're like,
do.
no.
Yes.
You go ahead. And then they're like, oh, well, maybe that does look a little bit fun. Maybe this is kind of an interesting thing. Because Shane, the first year that we ran the half marathon, I was like, do you want to go run the half marathon with me? And he was like, no.
No.
And I said, well, why not? Like you grew up an athlete, like incredible baseball player, played football, hockey, all the sports. And he's like, no, why would I run? Like he would go to the gym and run like a mile on the treadmill in sweatpants and a sweatshirt just to sweat out some calories. I'm like, no, like you can go run for
Yeah.
fun. He's like, no. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to run the half marathon and you can walk it if you want to. And I promise it's a good time. And he was like, okay, fine. And he signed up. And
You
it
twist my arm.
yeah, and
No.
it torrentially downpoured, and he crushed it. Like he ran the entire time. He didn't stop once, and he finished. And he was like, "Okay, so like,
When are we doing the next?
yeah, how do we sign up for more? What's the next plan?"
I just have to promise beer at the end to get Ben to do it. And even sometimes it has to be like multiple beers.
I do think we're onto something though, like a triathlete dating show. This could be, like
Oh my gosh.
Netflix. We could
But so
really-
you kind of got Shane into it.
yeah,
And like I got Ben into it.
they can thank us later.
They can, or not.
It's like the
It
thing
depends.
with like the parents. Like if you watch someone else continually try to better themselves and they're always happy and
So- Yeah.
like whatever you're doing, right? If you want to go out and party or you want to go after your like whatever job prospects you have and it's fulfilling you, not always happy, but it's fulfilling you. and you're continually just chasing bigger and bigger things, it's hard not to want that.
Right.
Yeah. And so as much as like all of the different hats that we wear as females in this endurance world, I think we also have, which we probably don't realize it until we take that step back, but like we also have a really big influence on those that are around us, because our kids see us chasing these dreams, our husbands, our spouses, or, you know, see us chasing
Your
these
friends,
dreams,
your family.
friends. And so it's like, wow, yes, we have all of these things that we are juggling. At the end of the day, like the influence that you have on those around you is probably so much greater than you even realize. And I think that is super important, that like, don't let all of the societal pressures get in the way of chasing those dreams that you have, because you never know who's watching and who's also being inspired by what you're going after and what you're chasing.
100%. Absolutely. Because, you know, like Jules, you know, again, she works this incredible shift where she's nursing, and she gets home and she's exhausted. And if somebody sees her getting up and going for a run, like,
Why
oh man,
can't I do
yeah,
that?
if she can get up and go for a 3-mile
Yeah.
run, like I didn't work night turn, and like I have 6 hours after I got home and I had dinner, and now I have 4 hours left. Like, I guess I could go try to run, or I could try to walk, or
If you're a mom and you only have, you know, one kid and you're like, oh, I can't do that. Like I have one kid, and then you see Val like out there with her wagon and her 2 kids, and you're like, oh my gosh, like she has 4 kids. Like if she can do it, then like what's holding me back?
yeah, what's the excuse?
From going after what I want just because I have one kid? Like,
The excuse is always just going to be what you let the excuse be.
yeah.
And what you enable yourself to excuse. So I think it's just about being real with yourself, being honest with the situation. Like I'm honest with myself. Like, I know I could run faster. I could 100% run faster. I don't want to run faster because I'm comfortable running where I'm running. And I know if I run at this steady pace that I'm going to be able to get up tomorrow and walk up and down the stairs and like put my baby down for a nap.
Yeah.
If I go out and I totally full send and I blast it, I'm going to have a hard time. My hips, like, and I'm not going to be able to, I have to be able to function tomorrow for other people.
Right.
So I'll leave the full send to some other people, and my full send looks a little different, and that's okay. Like, everybody pick your own full send, you know, but be accountable to yourself, because there's days when you're going to try to make excuses, and the excuses could be a million things. Like, Pie's not feeling good. She needs to go to the vet. I don't want to go work out. Oh, I just came off of 3 night turns in a row. I don't want to go out. Oh, Jordy was up 3 times out of his bedroom last night in our faces, like, Mom, hey, Mom. No, like, I don't want to go work out. But guess what? The excuses are what you're going to let them be. So stop making excuses and find a way.
Yeah. I love that. So overall, it, you know, while sometimes, yes, it can be hard to be a female in this sport, it's actually really fulfilling, and it allows you to see what you're truly capable of, and like pushing past those limits and outside of your comfort zone, which just allows you to grow into hopefully the person that you want to see yourself becoming.
Yeah. Knock down the walls, break down the barriers.
Bust through those glass ceilings.
That's 100%, you know, like, tell me what I can't do because I'm going to do it.
Hold my beer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ben would say.
Yep.
If
Have
you-
a margarita for me at the end.
Right. Like if you're like, I could never do a half marathon, and then you do that, and then you take
Now
that
what can I
further
do?
distances, right? But then that pours into the rest of your life. If I can do this, why couldn't I do this at work? Why couldn't I be a better spouse? Why couldn't I be a better friend and dedicate an hour time for them? You know what I mean? So that's like, I mean, I remember Kenny calling me before I joined, and he's like, you'll be a better person. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, you're just hyping this up.
Sales pitch.
And it like clicked right. And I was like, that's a nice sales pitch, but like, I'll do this because I have nothing better to do. Literally was my attitude. But then I noticed it when my friends and family were like, you're a lot happier. You spend more time like for other people. You're a lot less selfish. You're doing things that you are important to you, but also for other people. And that's when like I spent a lot less time partying and doing other stuff, which that all takes the same discipline of like, how are you going to dedicate your time today? But that's what it is like, it pours over into your life when you start believing in yourself and like, I can do this, and in just physical aspects.
So you brought up a good point about being less selfish. Like your family noticed that. So have either of you noticed, like, since you've started on this journey of endurance sports, that you have better boundaries and that you say no to things because they don't like support you and the goals that you have, or like you say like no to going out because I have this run tomorrow? Like you're putting yourself first more.
I lost a lot of the friends that were only party friends, which that's not a loss
Okay.
for me
Okay.
because we weren't friends. We partied together and that's what it was. And there's no resentment on either side because they probably don't miss me either. The friends that I would go out with a lot, I said, oh, I have a long run. I can't be drinking. Okay, let's go get dinner. Pivot. Like just like any other aspect of like, if you
want
can't
Olive
do
Garden?
something, right. Let's go to OG and get some breadsticks. And like those friends stuck by me with whatever I wanted to do because they were true friends, as in like, I would try to do that for them if, you know, they didn't have time to, I don't know, if they didn't want to go eat certain things, I'd go eat healthy, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't think of a good example right now, but
No, I mean, that's
I would
right on.
definitely, to make myself healthier and to improve in this sport. Yes, I will say no. But then in other aspects, I'm available more because I'm not hungover the whole next day.
Okay.
So it kind of counterbalanced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Shane and I mean, we just kind of tried to, it was just another thing to build into, like, especially during the summer. We're both training for a marathon and our friends have a really nice pool in their backyard and kids the same age. So you want to get together with them. You want to cook out. You want to let the kids swim and have a good time. So again, we would balance. Okay, Shane, you're going to do your run early. Then he would get home from his run. I would have the kids' bags packed and ready to go. And he would go swim. And then I would go run and then meet them, you know, at the pool afterwards and just jump in the pool because that was the best part of marathon training. But I think that I was better about saying no to when they would, okay, well, we're going to order this and this and this food. I'd be like, okay, well, can you order me something different? And at first I caught a lot of slack from that. There have been times that friends have given me, oh, you're eating rabbit food again. Oh, are you not drinking? Well, I'm not drinking right now because I have a race coming up and like, I just don't feel like it. Like contrary to popular belief, I actually don't drink that much really at all.
Just because Val's aid station has margaritas all the time,
Right. Doesn't mean I'm always drinking them
all the
actually.
time.
But there would be times that I would do that, or times that, I would really want to go out with my friends. And I work in the food industry. So it's a lot of like later nights, which adds a whole other aspect that we could talk another day about. But similar to you, I've just worked all evening, plus had the kids all day. So now it's 11 o'clock at night, but I'm wide awake and everybody else is asleep. But hey, let's go get a drink. And I would go and just like get a water and sit with them because I knew that I was awake, but I didn't want to have a bunch of drinks because I know I have a long run tomorrow. Or I'd have one drink because I'm like, okay, well, this is a little bit of carbs, drink 3 waters, go home 2 hours later. But I knew where I could kind of draw my lines a little bit more. And you have to, because if you've got a goal and you're trying to take it serious, you need to be able to say no. And anybody who, like you said, who didn't respect those, like, there's quite a few friends that I have now who maybe aren't as good of friends or as close of friends, or I don't see them and they don't understand this, and that's okay. They don't have to, and I don't respect them any less, but don't respect me any less because I'm choosing options to better my life and setting boundaries. So
Yeah. All right. Well, that just made me think of that because I know a lot of times we will say like yes to a lot of things that push ourselves like further down that priority list. And so was just curious if like you're keeping yourself at the top of that priority list more now that you are doing all of this stuff. So
you have to.
yeah. Awesome.
100%.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining me today, being here. This was super fun. And hopefully this is helpful for any other females in this sport that like you can do it all because you are Wonder Woman.
And if you think you can't, like message one of us. Like,
Yeah,
talk to
absolutely.
somebody who's in that boat and be like, hey, how do you do this? How do I get support?
Yeah,
for
you're
it?
definitely not alone. We are all here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.